Donncha.
Well, Thibault, how are you?
2 weeks in a row, we're going to make a habit out of this.
Look at it, and you've arrived in the gilet. Have you just off the horse or something?
It's off the t-shirt. I was kind of getting a bit of lunch there, and I thought I'd take the jumper off because it gets a bit hot in here, but the gilet is good.
I don't get gilets. I don't understand them. If you know what I mean. I don't get, like, I understand them under a jacket, but then why do you just want that part of your body hot and then the rest cold?
I don't know. All right.
Hold on. You're our Gok Wong. Why would you wear it?
The gilets sell really well for us.
Of course they do.
Gilets are unbelievable. See around the country.
Davy Fitz loves a gilet.
Pete O'Mahony loves a gilet. I mean, they're my sort of clientele right there. So if you're watching today and you think a gilet is the man, what your man in your life needs, get down to the shop and get yourself one. 15 kings.
I wasn't looking for you to promote it or flog it in any way. I just don't get it. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I find my arms get very cold as well when I do it, obviously.
So you need a jacket.
So and wearing a t-shirt under it's definitely not a good look. But I felt a bit sunnier today, so I
don't understand people. You know what I mean? That say I have a really hot body, or sorry, I have a really cold body, but my arms are roasting. You know what I mean? Have you ever met anyone like that?
Who says that?
Exactly.
My arms
so
are roasting.
Why create a gilet?
Listen, I'm a bit of a hot person, Donncha. Right? I was a bit sweaty, and I just thought, and this room gets hot as well.
You're not the hottest person here today, man. Oh my goodness, we have a right interview coming up.
We have a hell of an interview today. We're in the presence of greatness today, and we're very excited and
hot. You know what? It is amazing when you chat around to people about who we're going to be chatting to, and they're like, swoo.
There's a member of the team in Ireland who was in a cafe or a bar with said Irish captain Caelan Doris quite recently.
What an intro.
And the reports that came back now there was a lot of all right. He's a man in demand.
You were away on your own, to be fair to you, but if you looked at the current setup, there's a lot of good looking fellas. People talk about Doris. Farrell, man. People love Farrell.
Oh, Andy Farrell.
Yes.
Well, I think Tom Farrell. Well, Tom Farrell's not a bad looker.
Yeah, no, he's not at all.
But no, Big Faz is the ultimate alpha male.
Yeah,
isn't
is that
he?
what it is?
Jesus, if you talk about presence, Andy Farrell has got it in spades. You think about Paulie, you think about certain people, but when Andy Farrell walks into a room, it's like the place just goes dark or something, or it's like a light just shines on. I'd say everywhere you go, like if he goes into a cafe or a restaurant, he just has that about him.
I'm going the opposite way. I think there's like love goggles go on with certain people when they see him, because they're there like, oh my God, look at him.
Who else is good? Like my wife was watching the rugby the other day and couldn't get over the likes of Joe McCarthy's hair and Porter's hair. She's like, what's going on with the lads and their mullets? But I suppose you have the likes of the Crowleys. There's a couple of handsome men out there. They're no Rob Kearney now, but they're...
No, that's true. That is true. We were at something before and Rob cried off in the warm-up. And I remember there was 3 of the buddies were down, Jenny's buddies were down watching the match. And they were like, late change, number 15, Rob Kearney's out. They were like, I'm going to the bar. There's no... They were like, what's the point in watching this?
I remember in my early days, whenever we were playing with the Ospreys, that Lucy took one of her best mates to it, and she had a real thing for Dan Bigger.
Dan Bigger?
Yeah,
wow. Yeah,
I know.
Jeez.
And he was young and spotty at that stage as well. I didn't see it.
They're the ones you love that can see, you know what I mean?
The future. He's got potential, that fella. Yeah.
She's like the Simon Cowell of kind of like talent identification.
Louis Walsh. I like him. Listen, it's great to catch up with you. We're going to get to our interview very shortly and really looking forward to it as well. I do want to just give a quick heads up to those people who might be coming to see our live show. Again, we just want to give it a good shout out. We're of course in Dublin, in Limerick, in Cork, in Belfast. There are still some tickets available in Limerick and Cork. We'd love you to go and get them. They're right in the middle of Six Nations. It's going to be a cracker of a night out with some great guests who are going to be joining us as well, so please do come along to support us on that.
Absolutely. Limerick's going to be buzzing. We have their favourite son Keith Earls, and then for Cork we have the great Simon Zebo. So do get along in Cork and Limerick. Ticketmaster.
And some other great guests as well. So looking forward to that. Listen, before we get to the interview, any other stories that catch your eye?
You've had a busy old week of stuff, and I was kind of looking at things, and then I saw this article and I thought straight away, I bet you that me and Tommy are going to be on the opposite sides of this one. You know, it just kind of sat well with me. So a poll conducted by YouGov, right? They basically took a survey of the amount of people that thought that in an emergency they could land a plane.
Oh.
And it's 50-50 when it comes to males.
Is it?
So 1 in every 2 males feel like they could land a plane.
I could definitely land a plane.
I knew it, because I wouldn't even attempt it.
Well, I actually have a pilot's license.
Well, that's different. You didn't disclose that quite early on.
Yeah.
No, we'll never know.
I have a PPL. I have like a little private pilot's license.
Yeah, but sorry, no, right? The light goes, right? They were like, the pilot's gone down. Would you fancy it?
I do, definitely, yeah.
Hold on, the nearest thing you've had to something like this is last play, clocks in the red.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A scrum on the right, and you've got to finish.
I'm going to say this to you now, right? I'd prefer to try and land that plane as opposed to taking a kick to finish the if it was Six Nations last game of the, if it's Harry Byrne up against La Rochelle, right on the right hand side,
you're not having it. Can I ask you a question? How much flying have you done?
Well, I think I got my 16 hours up.
16 hours, and you're playing rugby since you're 8, and you're training it on.
Those planes fly themselves. I flew like this thing. It's like a fucking lawnmower with wings. I mean, honestly, if you can land this. I actually, on my license, when I had to do, so you have to do a test, right? So you fly this thing, and it's a little 2-seater.
You're in the air.
Yes,
sorry, I genuinely thought they were going to put you into, you know, the oaks you see in the shopping centres. Not even that for you. I thought you were going in like, you know what I mean, something you'd see in cars, you know, planes, and Tommy's in there, broom, 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 broom. They're like, well done, Tommy. You've won yourself a juice.
I actually, because when I went to Wales, right, so I was at the Ospreys and I was rooming with Ian Goff. On a Wednesday, so I had no friends outside the rugby team and I had nothing to do. And I was rooming with Goffy, and Goffy was a pilot, right? He's got his helicopter license and all. He does loop-de-loops. I mean, it's unbelievable, yeah.
No way.
Properly, yeah. Jeez. Like flies upside down.
No, there's a pilot I wouldn't cross. He was tough.
He's a tough nut as well, yeah. A few knocks to the head, which means I wouldn't be in the plane with him either. But no, good lad, Goffy. Anyway.
Someone's listening to a podcast right now on a plane going, I'm your pilot, Ian Goff.
So he was looking at like Auto Trader for pilots. You know, he's like the done deal on the magazine, because he was wanting to buy himself. So I was like, what's that? He said, oh yeah, I do a bit of flying. And I said, geez, I'd love to give that a go. And he goes, I'll set you up with their man who does the lessons. So every Wednesday when I was over in Wales, I went off and I did like a couple hours flying, and I loved it, man. So the adrenaline rush of coming in, and I'd be shitting yourself going to the airport, but you get up, fly, do your couple of hours, then land, and you're doing all this like landing into crosswinds. So
Carl, that's Carl Mullen's favourite videos. He if he's downtime, Carl Mullen is watching people trying to land planes in crosswinds. That's his ideal day. In fact, he keeps an eye on wind conditions, and if they're really bad, he goes out to the airport. There's an area where he sits out with his little...
Well, he wouldn't want to do it with me. Honestly, it's so frightening, because seeing these little planes in particular, like any gust of wind at all, and you're all over the place. Wow. So you're then kind of like... So say the airway... The fucking runway is straight ahead of me here, right?
I'm off the plane
so
already.
I'm literally, you have to go in and like face the plane almost at like 10 o'clock, and kind of you're going sideways in towards the runway, and then you have to land it down on the right back wheel, and then just as soon as it lands on the back right wheel, you have to spin it round to go forward. Honestly, it was
like a donut.
It was unreal, yeah.
Wow.
And I remember when I did the lesson, when I do your test, so when you're doing the test, you're up there with the instructor, and you're up at, say, 1,000 or 2,000 feet, and you're flying over random fields in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you just see him and he just turns off the engine. Right?
What a stupid thing to do.
So you have to do a performed forced landing, right? So you have to then go through the settings.
I would be inject button with my own little parachute. I'd be like, see you, Tony.
So the engine's off, right? And you're there, and so you have to then go through the checklist of, right, okay, you try to restart it again. Okay, that's not working again. Then you have to give a mayday call in, say, listen, this is my plane. Looks like we're here, we're going down. Then you have to kind of keep an eye out, right, where can I land? And because this little plane, you could land land on like a rugby pitch.
Wow.
You could land on a field, you could land on a beach, you could land on a road. So you're then circling all the way down, right? So you're gliding all the way down.
How long does this take?
Well, like a minute maybe.
Wow.
And then so you kind of have to, right, there's the field, that's the one I'm aiming for, that's where I'm going for. So I was coming all the way down to land, and then must have been maybe 30, maybe 50 metres from this field, right? So you want to land at the start of the field so it gives you a length,
Yeah.
right? But I realised that I'm dropping faster than I thought I was going to. So I was
I'll
like...
be in the huts. You started morphing into Tom Hanks. I'll be in the huts.
So though I was going into the hedge, I was literally going straight for the hedge. So last minute, the field that I was aiming for, I was like, I ain't going to make it. So literally last second had to just flip it and turn to go the opposite direction into another field, and landed it. And then literally stuck on the engine again, flew off and right back to the thing. And so I got my test. But,
Sorry, overdoing that, you passed.
well, he said that technically I probably, he'd marked me down because obviously I missed where I was meant to land.
Can I ask you a question? Were you giving him tickets to international match?
But like, listen, these are the sort of situations where you have to just think on your feet, and things don't always go according to plan.
Amazing.
So, and then I was doing the flying again, and you have to do certain circuits of the runway before you come into land. But there was a real big storm coming in, so we had to literally like turn to go back to the airway to the airfield to come back.
Oh my God.
So I would land a plane.
I wasn't expecting that. Like, I should have remembered that you had done it. Oh, that is bananas. It really is.
I mean, we have so much to discuss on the podcast, but you know what?
Yeah. Can I ask just one last thing on it? You know the way when we were contracted, you weren't allowed to go horse riding, you weren't allowed to go skiing.
Yeah.
How in the name of God were you able to pan that off as career development, or they didn't know, did they?
Well, I don't know. They didn't really ask. Like,
they're not meant to ask, Tommy. You're meant to basically, if it's not, like bungee jumps, you have to ring.
It's not dangerous. Like, it's not dangerous.
It's not dangerous. How high were you?
It's not. Like, I genuinely, like, well, you're up at 2,000-3,000 feet.
Oh,
I remember, right, I'll tell you another quick story that whenever I was doing it, I hadn't done it in a while.
Don't worry about Caelan Doris. Do you know what, Doris? We'll get to you.
Yeah.
Best of luck in the Six Nations.
Irish captain. Have you ever, can you fly a plane,
Yeah,
Caelan?
exactly.
Yeah. Who are you now? Back in your box, mate.
Yeah. There he is, Ice from Top Gun. He's there, I could do it.
I was single at the time, and the fella said to me, right, if you want to go on a date, this is what you're going to do, right? If you want any girl you want to impress. So he took me out. So we were flying out way off of West Wales, and we went, and you're flying down along the sea, right? And at this stage, you're literally 10 metres from the sand. You're probably not meant to do this, but anyway, you're like, but it feels like you're flying, right? Literally, right? So then you do all this. It looks class and flying just over the water. But then he was, we were flying around, and then he made a call. He said, made a quick call, checked wind direction, whatever else. So we were going down. He said, where are you going? He says, I'll take over from here. So anyway, round, and down. We landed on a golf course.
Yeah.
So we landed in.
They love that. Playing out of the rough on the fort going, hey!
So it was a little 9-hole golf course. And because this little plane's quite small, so we were able to land in on the first fairway, right? And literally on the fairway. And then we turned it around, drove back and kind of parked in the car park. Went in, had a bit of lunch.
Club sandwich.
Yeah, had a bit of lunch. Went out, played 5 holes.
Tommy, you're making this up, man.
Back onto the plane, flew back and back to Swansea again. Boom, what a date that would have been.
Brilliant, you can't beat it. You can't beat it.
They were the good old days. They were the good old days.
Amazing, Maverick. Well done, you.
Okay, right. Well, there's that study done. 50-50.
50-50.
Okay, finally, would you... The decision between taking Harry Byrne's kick to beat La Rochelle with, say, Munster or fly a plane, land a plane.
The honest truth is, I know my skill set. That's not for either of me. I would, like, if someone fancied it, I'd be like, go, I'd be the ultimate cheerleader. But I know that I'd get to, it'd
We're
be
in
the Dougal.
Shannon.
Yeah. It's not even, I'd know all the instructions, and then they're like, Donncha, you okay? And then I see the red button, and I'm like, Dougal. And they're like, no, Donners, no. And there. Oh, what if?
Calm under pressure.
Yeah.
That's what we are not.
Exactly.
And our guest today is a man who is calm under pressure, calm under the toughest of things. He's gone through his own battles with injury and mental health and mental resilience. An absolutely amazing guy. Looking forward to catching up and talking now to Caelan Doris. Right. Welcome. We've got the Irish captain joining us, Caelan Doris. Good to have you with you, mate.
Howdy, lads. Thanks for having me.
Skipper, we appreciate you jumping on. Quick question. We were chatting about it a few minutes ago. 3 of us are in a plane. It's about to go down. Do you think you could land it for us?
Yeah, I do it for you. No
There you
bother.
go. 1 in 2 males think they can, so you're with Tommy.
You're
Back
on the other
yourself,
side, are
man.
you?
Absolutely, man. I'm hiding in the jacks.
Hopefully, it's
We're all-
something. It's a hypothesis that never will be tested, so it'll be
Very
fine.
true. Very true, yeah.
Hey, listen, another thing we have to ask you, you've got, of course, got a psychology degree, a massive interest in psychology as well. Any chance you could take Donncha for a bit of a session? He's a bit depressed with Munster's
I need-
performances at the minute.
Yeah, I need a bit of time to work with Donegal, but if we can
You
arrange something.
absolutely, you absolutely would. You absolutely would. But thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We know it's off the back of the Tackle Your Feelings campaign. Just to be fair to you, an awful lot of players step in, but as our skipper as well, to take in such a role, it's quite incredible. Good on you.
Yeah, it's an important program that's being launched, particularly working around schools in the upcoming year. But I mean, for a general population, I think it's something that I want to advocate for. And the more that we can be open and share and recognize what's going on for all of us on a deeper level, the better, in my view.
Yeah, listen, you're an amazing ambassador for it as well, Caelan. And I love in the video for Tackle Your Feelings, you're back in the classroom talking about dreaming of being representing your country and playing for Ireland. But you went to school in Mayo. Were you really dreaming of playing for Ireland rugby, or were you more GAA?
Both. Rugby was always number one. I mean, I played pretty much every sport when I grew up. Did a little bit of basketball, karate for a few months. So I dabbled at everything, but rugby was always number one. Interestingly, so I've obviously had a few interviews today. I got asked earlier on about, like, was it always something that I saw myself doing or wanted to do? And for a long time, I actually didn't realize that it was in my head from an early age that I wanted to be a professional rugby player. But about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe, I came across, I don't know, a few lads had a communion file. We had to do one in school anyway, the year we made our communion, and it was like dreams for the future or whatever. And one of the things was play rugby for Ireland. So it was cool going back a number of years that was always forefront of the mind. It was a cool moment seeing that.
That is brilliant. That it was, you know what I mean? Even at a young age, that, you know, you don't even remember it. But that was
Yeah.
kind of in your subconscious, man.
Yeah, another thing was a house in Dublin, a house in Mayo, and a house in New York. So I'm currently 0 from 3 at the minute. So yeah, a bit of work to do on that one.
Listen, the new IRFU contract will help sort that out. You'll have the
No,
three of them
I
in
hope
no
so.
time.
I hope
He-
so.
the contract might sort it, but the housing crisis won't. He's quicker at getting one in New
Exactly.
York.
So listen, we're seeing all these players. Like, you're a Mayo man. You're a Connacht. Like Donncha is, cut him open. Like, he never would leave Munster. It's a question we've talked about before. If you had to, would you go to another province? He says, I just couldn't do it. Did you have dreams of going to Connacht? Would you ever go back to Connacht? People always talk about, would you go back to the home club? Is that where you'd like to eventually play a few
Oh.
games at some stage?
Bow
I
fishing for the
cringe.
headline here.
Yeah. I cringe myself saying this now at this stage, but when I got first asked this question, maybe when I was 18, 19 in the academy, I said it was always Mayo for football and Leinster for rugby. And as much as I cringe at saying that, it's true. I mean, my folks are both from Dublin. My dad played in Blackrock, for Blackrock for years. My uncle played Leinster 19s. I remember going to a Leinster game in Donnybrook at a pretty young age, and even though I wouldn't have watched a ton of rugby, especially provincial stuff when I was younger, yeah, it would have been blue that I'd hoped to play for.
Cringe. No
Yeah,
one in
sorry
Mayo
about
would
that. You can
complain.
cut that bit.
Yeah, no one in Mayo will complain if he tugs out and plays football for them, definitely.
Yeah, geez, I'm not sure if I'd be a bit rusty now on a football pitch. It's been a few years.
No, with your footwork, man, you'd be well able.
Tell us, Andy Farrell, we're obviously chatting to you ahead of Andy naming the squad. Hopefully you will be named as the Irish captain. We're not too sure. Can you let us know?
Inside scoop. Yeah, no, I spoke to him just before. So yeah, I'll be in charge again, along with the good
Congrats.
group around me.
Well done.
Amazing.
Well done, boy.
Listen,
Thank
this
you.
is going to be going out after the announcement is, so everybody's going to be listening. It's going to be like,
They
oh,
all
we know
know.
that anyway.
Fucking no
Well,
shit,
No
lads.
inside scoop here.
But listen, tell us
You don't know
about
who goes out in Traitors, do you, Caelan?
Are you watching that?
Yes, I'm
Oh,
glued to it.
My housemates love it. Yeah, I haven't got into it yet myself.
Yeah. Oh, you've a
Have you
treat.
not watched it? Oh man, it's
No.
brilliant. And the psychology side as well, you'd love it.
Yeah, no, I'll have to get into it.
I think actually you should bring it into the Irish rugby team. That's what you should be doing with the time off. The Irish Traitors behind the scenes.
Be a
I
nice
know
bit of
England did that ahead of the World
connection
Cup,
building
I think,
there,
as well, didn't they?
Genuinely.
Yeah, they did. But the problem with it is, like, it'll definitely, like, it's grand. Normal people around the table doing this, knowing
Yeah,
that the
very
cameras are there and they're not going to fight with each other. I swear to God, if Donncha was accusing me of being a
Yeah.
traitor and I wasn't, I'd want to scrap with him. I said, right, come on, outside now.
Use your words, Tommy. Use your words.
So listen, talk to us about the upcoming Six Nations Championship, or even just the privilege of chatting to Andy Farrell when he gives you that call. Like, you have been there, done that, but I'm sure there's always that little bit of trepidation in the back of your mind. Are you going to get the nod again this year?
Definitely, yeah. It's an exciting time. Like, I absolutely love the Six Nations. Like I referenced there, I wouldn't watch a whole ton of club rugby, but Six Nations is always huge, and always look forward to the games massively. Out at half time, throwing the ball around the garden. So to be in this position is, yeah, I feel very, very fortunate. It's something that I never take for granted. And to work with, again, like you've referenced, someone like Faz, the environment he's created, the group of lads that we have around us, and I'm fortunate to say so many of them are very good friends now at this stage. Pretty tight group, so there's always a buzz around going back into camp. Probably in particular when you've got France on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
I think it's 9 p.m. their time over there. They love a late kickoff. What a way to kick things off. So that definitely sharpens the mind. I'm playing Connacht here now this Saturday in the Dexcom for 12,000, I think it is, and the opening of that. So that's a pretty exciting thing as well. So the mind will quickly turn on Saturday night, Sunday to France. But yeah, no, it's an exciting time here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it certainly steps up. Just in terms of the leadership, Caelan, just for you, I suppose we were lucky to be around the likes of Brian O'Driscoll, who kind of empowered everyone. Paulie was inspirational. Just Anthony Foley, real emotional intelligence. What would you say your style is when it comes to getting message across for the lads and looking out for them?
Yeah, I try and build good relationships, deeper connections with the lads. Try and lead by example, definitely, which is probably a common denominator across all those guys you reference, even though they're able to do the inspirational talks and drive standards is probably largely in their actions. So I think that's probably at the forefront of what I try and do. But yeah, it's recognizing what's needed and finding a way to deliver that, and also kind of recognizing your edges and where other guys are better at things. Like, we've got a very strong leadership group, and there's guys who've been in there for a number of years now. You've got the likes of Tadhg Furlong, who's played 3 Lions tours now at this stage. So there's a wealth of experience and knowledge around me. He was paying me 50 quid to say that. So
Of course he is.
yeah, you know what I mean? There's so much experience around me. So leaning on those guys is important.
I'd never heard the same sentence with Tadhg Furlong and knowledge in it before, unless it was about the price of a bull. In terms of
Going
You'd be
to a marathon.
surprised, you know. You'd be surprised. He's
I know.
cute.
He is cute. That's
Yeah.
exactly the way to describe him. All
Yeah.
right, cuter. As the for you as a 27-year-old, you like. Listen, you're in that sweet spot in terms of playing, but as a captain as well, you said you tried to build and forge relationships with everybody in the squad. Is it harder as a captain to try and like get to know the younger lads, the new fellas who are coming into the scenario? Do you try and forge relationships with them, or are you trying to just lead from the front and show them what it takes in terms of standards? You know, they're going off on their phones all the time, and you're telling like timekeeping, that sort of thing. It's hard because different captains have different ways of doing it.
Yeah, I think it's both. Like, kind of reflecting back to when I first came in and thinking that the level of professionalism that I was at back then was what was required. And I remember one specific chat with Faz around him just being like, I know you think you're operating at this level, but you need to be up here. There's so much more in you, from kind of a holistic point of view in terms of what I'm doing off pitch, all the kind of high performance habits, my video recovery stuff, and just like setting a target for me that I didn't even know was needed or required. So kind of taking that mindset a little bit and seeing how I saw things when I was younger guys' age, you know what I mean? So it's helpful having that view while also trying to focus on my own game and do the things that I know prepare me well to play.
That exposure level is so important, and people don't know it. It is until you go up and you taste it and you realize there's so much more here. And it's brilliant that you realize I can step up. You know what I mean? That fellas like Faz there is backing you to keep going.
Completely. And like, it's so true that you don't know what you don't know. You kind of think you've got things figured out to a certain extent. But there's so much more, there's so many more iterations and evolutions. And even now at this stage, like, I still hopefully have a number of years left in my career. And I know from both a playing point of view and a leadership point of view that I want to continue to develop. And I know there's so much more growth and room for improvement on both levels. So constantly chasing that down is something that excites me. And I think the group or the environment that's been created by the coaches is one that encourages that.
Tell us, as captain, do you still get a room on your own?
Yes, that's one of the privileges. You know, I actually roomed with church from
Whoa.
very early on, and actually, yeah, we had a great thing going, the pair of us. So it was a bit of a strange transition being in my own space. Like, obviously I boarded as well, so I'm used to having a roomie, but no, I must say I do enjoy the space these days. Church was gas. Like, it was, he had every sort of hack and recovery tool under the sun. He'd sometimes sleep on those like acupressure mats with his feet up on the
Yes.
bed. He'd yeah, all sorts of crazy things going on.
Because
It's
we've roomed with him before as well and spoke about that. I roomed with him in Rotorua, which lovely place, but there is this kind of sulphur smell around the place. So trying to get off to sleep is quite important. But I was getting woken at 12 o'clock with church going to me, do you want to head down to the spa, fella? I was there. I'd rather get another 6 hours sleep here if you don't mind. But yeah.
yeah. I roomed with him in New Zealand back in that tour in 2022, and he got injured in, was it the A game or no, maybe it was the first test. He got injured anyway. He rolled his ankle quite badly, and I remember he had a game ready for that following week, and he'd literally be up every hour to the game ready. You know what I mean? He in some ways he was a little bit looser, but in other ways he was
Yeah.
so dialed in on his professionalism.
Just to give people context there, the Game Ready is this kind of recovery device that you can put on certain parts of your body, and it kind of goes off like a Hoover every hour, doesn't it, when you've it on? So
Yeah,
My wife nearly divorced me with that thing. The noise of it.
I know. I can imagine.
All night. But listen, it beats
The
him
Game
like
Ready was least of her troubles, fella. To be fair, that was she should have gone on that. Or no, Lucy, run while you can.
At least he wasn't sharpening his knives or doing his roller skating or painting. Like, I love that we have the great thing going, like, that he kept awake and you slept. I mean, he was an insomniac the time I roomed with him. Next level.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a cool fella, isn't he? He's unique. Like, you've referenced some of his habits there, or some of his hobbies, I should say. But like, yeah, it's class. He's
And do you
kind
know
of
what
true to himself and finding his own way.
I love about it as well, that I suppose outside the circle you didn't really get to know him all that well. He didn't kind of play the game media wise or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? He was quite happy to be him and not arsed if anyone didn't get him. You know, it's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell us about your interest and why you got involved in Tackle Your Feelings, Caelan. Because listen, I know that both your parents are from Dublin. They moved to Mayo. they were psychologists or psychiatrists, and I'd imagine
Psychotherapist.
psychotherapists. For you as a young fella growing up with your two psychotherapist parents in rural Mayo, I'm sure there were an awful lot of people kind of looked at the Doris family and were scratching their head. And
Pack
as
of
a son
freaks.
of that, you
It's
said
like a
it, not
Sally
me.
Rooney novel, man.
Yeah.
What was that like in school, though?
Yeah, it was like, not only were they psychotherapists, and my dad's an artist as well. They've been into meditation for years. They would have taken us to ashrams in India for a couple of weeks each year in school. So um, they were definitely different. And there was probably a big desire for me just to fit in. And sort of, yeah, that was probably one of the reasons why I was very happy to go to boarding school, to get away from the strange folks at that stage. I've come full circle and I'm probably just as weird as them now, but um, yeah, it was different. I mean, I wouldn't have been in, I probably, yeah, pushed myself away from some of their interests, and I didn't really want to go there for years, even though they would have gently encouraged meditation or different things like that. But I think you find your own way back to these things, and at the right time you'll seek it out yourself. And I mean, that's what happened for me. So yeah, to go back to your initial question, like, I just, from my own personal experience, I think what's helped me a lot is being more open, is feeling what's actually there, getting to the root of things, is speaking to other people, is meditating, is a lot of these kind of mental tools for mental fitness, as Tackle Your Feelings talk about in their campaign. And I just would encourage younger people, older people, all people to, yeah, to lean on each other, to be more open, to feel more, and to suppress less.
Yeah, they can find out more about it on tackleyourfeelings.com and on Instagram at TYF if they want to hear any more or get educated a little bit more on it. But just on that, Caelan, for me, like being on top of your mental health at the moment, when you're in a game where injuries, selection, you know what I mean? If you're on top of that, it's a bit of a superpower, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, no one's had it tougher than yourself in terms of your first cap, picking up that knock, then the Lions tour, things like that. You know, they are the moments that you can question yourself, and you could spiral if you hadn't processes or good people around you.
Definitely, yeah. Like, I think the physical and the mental are so intertwined, especially as athletes, as I'm sure you guys can attest to. But like, if your body's feeling a certain way, or if there's injuries that are nagging you, it can drain you mentally a little bit as well. And equally, if there's things going on outside of work, or there's things that are taking their toll mentally, your body can crumble a little bit there as well. So I think there's so much emphasis on the physical as a rugby player. And obviously everything's measured these days, from numbers in the gym to GPS data to statistics on the pitch, whereas the mental side of things is a little bit more subjective, a little bit harder to pin down. It's less viewable externally. Only kind of what your internal experience is to a certain degree. So it can, yeah, get less attention as a result of some of those things I mentioned. But I think shining a light on the importance of it, on how much good positive habits around it can benefit you, and can increase your kind of day-to-day enjoyment and ability to tolerate stress and challenges and frame things in a good light.
Do you find captaincy draining mentally?
Um, it can be, yeah, especially at the start. Like, I've said this before, but I would have experienced quite a lot of self-doubt initially, and not that it's fully gone there, but I probably have better ways of dealing it and more experience at it now. And I mean, I kind of think of rugby a little bit as like a vehicle for personal growth or personal development, really. And as you kind of face different challenges, even like in the past, doing media stuff like this would have taken its toll massively on me, and I
Yeah.
still don't necessarily enjoy it. Nothing personal to you two, but
It's a miracle.
We've been
but
there. I hated it.
yeah,
We
too.
don't
yeah.
even like hanging around with ourselves, Caelan.
Yeah. But I mean, by facing these obstacles and these challenges, and kind of going to the edge of your comfort zone or outside your comfort zone. It forces you to deal with hard emotions or hard things. And I think if you do that in the right way, which is feeling them, processing them, talking about them, your comfort zone and your capacity just continues to increase. So that's kind of the way I'm trying to frame it. And like the injury is a good example of that, and allowing myself to feel the grief, feel the disappointment, feel the sadness around the injury, and then start to look at the positives quite quickly as well. Once I'd actually allowed the initial emotion to move through, I could frame it in a positive way. Whereas in the past, I probably would have been stuck in a lot more gray and kind of not being able to feel the sadness that much, but not being able to see the positives in it, and just, yeah, would have gone on a lot longer and been in a little bit of a gray down period.
The leadership side of it's important, I suppose. Look, from the outside, maybe it is the case on the inside, but everyone's kind of work on and the noise around is the discipline area, especially with the South African game as well. And just how important is getting that right coming into the Six Nations, making sure, and even just for you personally, being on the edge, man, but also being the leader that has to communicate and get the message across both with the players and the refs. It's getting more and more difficult, but it's certainly an area that needs a bit of work for us.
Yeah, definitely. It's an area of growth. And I think, like, traditionally for Irish teams, our kind of smarts and intelligence and positive habits around discipline have been a strength. And particularly under Faz and Paulie, it's something that's been talked about quite a lot. So, yeah, the level of discipline in November and, yeah, going back probably the last 18 months or so hasn't been good enough. And it's something that I'm conscious of and I've spoken to the coaches about. I need to lead better as captain. You know what I mean? I'm giving away too many avoidable penalties. I think when you're playing on the edge and when there is a bit of grey in rugby anyway, and it's a contact sport, you're bound to have a number of penalties. But I think avoiding the avoidables and building smart habits in training that will transfer over to game day is definitely a big focus for us.
Is it hard at the moment with the game? Because there must be times that you make a challenge or make a poach,
Yeah.
and in your head it should be right, and probably at in slow down speed it might look off. But as a player, it must be so difficult to actually teeter on that edge all the time. And that's, I'd imagine, as a captain, it's even more difficult because you're trying to stay in the referee's ear as well. But is it frustrating now the way the game is going? And realistically, nobody knows going into a match what way the referee is going to see things.
Yeah, I mean, as cliched as it is, you kind of just want to control what you can control to a certain extent. And like, I've kind of spoken about and enjoyed the part of my game around creating a bit of chaos at the breakdown.
Yeah.
And even if I can disrupt for a couple of seconds or bring an extra man in, or yeah, slow the nine down and slow the ball down for a couple of seconds, I see that as a positive. But equally, if I'm too far on the edge and giving away a penalty, it undoes so much of that work. So it comes back, like, the way the coaches view it and the way I see it is building the right habits in training, testing yourself, making smart decisions around the breakdown in training, and hopefully it becomes instinctive. You're seeing the right pictures without realizing it, contesting the right ones, staying out of the right ones. There's obviously, like, even our game there at the weekend against Bayonne, there's a lot of, with the way the game's gone with so much kicking and aerial contest, there's a number of penalties there that we gave away. And some of those are challenging ones to avoid as well when you want to contest in the air, when there's such a high number of kicks in the game. But yeah, I still think shining the light on it and the way we train ultimately will help us there.
Yeah.
Shit, that's what you're saying.
Stop
Ian?
it, Tommy, will you? Sorry, just to kind of
I
move
didn't
on
hear
from
that.
it. Yeah, you didn't.
Better
Just
off.
looking at the amount of injuries, bangs and knocks, and look, the game has changed so much so quick, man. Like, it's Spartan stuff the whole time, and we're seeing how squads are growing and how important that is. But this is the first Six Nations we're going into as well with a reduced week. So normally you had those break weeks. How do you find that in terms of preparing your body, knowing that, like, come the end of this, and like, it was unfortunate for you to have an injury, but some lads are going since the summer that were on that tour as well. It's quite a grueling year, isn't it?
It is. I mean, they did have a pretty good break. They play
Brilliant. I love
So
that.
did
Like,
you.
fuck 'em.
Not as good as you.
Well, a lot of them are lying
Trust
on
the
the beach in
bitter
Bali
injured
for
player.
3 weeks after, so they'll be grand. I mean, we are managed so well in Ireland in terms of the minutes played and training and whatnot. So, yeah, it makes a little bit of a difference, but we do 3 or 4 games on the bounce quite a bit provincially. Like I'm playing the 3rd one in a row this week against Connacht, and yeah, it just there's a little bit more emphasis on recovery, both from a mental freshness and obviously physically as well. But it's such an easy time of year to get up for it, to get excited about. Like it's the pinnacle of the game, really. So yeah, like I say at the start, France at home, Italy, France away, Italy at home, and then England over in Twickenham as well. It's in a pretty exciting first 3 weeks. So no, there's a lot of excitement around it.
Have you a favourite stadium playing?
I love Stade de France. I think it's class. Like the atmosphere from when you first arrive out there, I like going out for a walk on the pitch before getting fully togged out. And already there's drums going. The stadium's near full. Like it's class.
I got a 0 out of 10 playing against France, so it's I don't have the greatest of memories
You
there.
don't like that as much, then.
Brilliant.
Yeah, let's hope you don't have to deal with that ever.
Yeah. Caelan, just while we're on it, because we know we're chatting about tackle your feelings, just a bit of advice for maybe people working with young athletes or coaches or even parents. You know what I mean? Like everyone loves to kind of get a nugget of kind of some. So, and I think you're perfectly placed with your family background, your own education as well, to maybe see certain things that might red flag. Any bit of advice to coaches that are working with young athletes of things to keep an eye on when it comes to their own mental health?
Um, I'd say a lot of positive encouragement. I mean, obviously discipline, and there needs to be a certain amount of gatekeeping and pointing things in the right direction, but in a positive way as much as possible, I would say. Um, I would check in on whether it's the kids' ambition and want to be there and desire to be there, because at the core of it needs to be coming from a place of enjoyment and love of the game, and not for their parents' reasons or for the coach's reasons, you know what I mean? So making sure it's coming from a place of enjoyment. I think more kind of tactically or technically is just like we speak a lot about building positive habits, and what you do in training leads to games. As a younger fella, getting your hands on the ball as much as possible is very important. But in terms of the mental health side of things, I think, yeah, noticing cues. Like some guys, if they've got things they're struggling with internally, it might come out in a bit of a persona, or might be louder. Other guys might withdraw. So kind of recognizing some of those things and just asking people how they are. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times of how are you actually doing, especially with Irish people, you know what I mean, to get to the core of it. So yeah, just being aware of those subtle cues, I think.
We've spoken about this before quite a bit. Whenever myself and Donica were part of that squad, which seems like a long, long time ago now, your vulnerability was almost seen like as a weakness for players. That, you know, if something was going on at home, if you're falling out with the missus, if something had happened that was affecting you off the pitch, you didn't share it. You very much kept it to yourself. But one of the first messages that you have on the Tackle Your Feelings video is about embracing vulnerability. And I know it's something that Andy Farrell, anybody you talk to, he talks about trying to bring out your vulnerabilities and stuff. Is that something that, is that something that you open up in conversations at the start of the week? How does that work? Like, even in terms of, you know, being nervous ahead of a match, do you kind of just express that so everybody's on the same page, or what way do we kind of embrace our vulnerabilities?
Yeah, we'll just go back to what you were saying initially there. Like I do understand it, and I understand that kind of perspective of seeing vulnerability as weakness. I get where it comes from, but equally, I mean, we're all human. Everyone has emotions and things that come to the fore, and is true strength suppressing it or avoiding it or withdrawing from it or keeping it to yourself, or is it sharing, being open, persevering anyway? So I mean, I think that's the way that things are going. It's not about not being resilient or not being able to persevere or be stoic at times or have emotional control at times, but it's also alongside that being more open with each other, sharing things, recognizing the commonalities in what so many guys are going through. Um, and yeah, I mean, ultimately it makes you happier, better rugby player, more connected team. So I mean, how it actually comes up within the environment is it can be in group settings sometimes. Faz will encourage it sometimes and maybe get guys up the front and kind of ask certain questions. But I think probably most of all, it comes just in smaller group or one-on-one conversations, just diving a little bit deeper and kind of checking in on guys, or like what my answer to your last question around coaches recognizing things. It's the same with teammates, recognizing if someone's in the team room a little bit less, or if they're acting out of a persona a little bit more, or whatever it is, recognizing different cues and just checking in with each other.
Speaking of sharing emotions and narratives, do you, maybe just for us on the outside though, you feel like there's a lot of people would like, well, are kind of nearly celebrating the demise of this Irish team, you know, with the autumn internationals and stuff like that. I feel it media a little bit wise that everyone's quick to kind of maybe talk us down. Is that an emotional driver for the squad in terms of, you know, proving that this team is still you know, deserves to be credited for where it is. One of the best teams in the world number one for so long. The worm can quickly turn, can't it?
It can, yeah. In terms of being an emotional driver, I'm not sure. I mean, it's not something
Mm.
that has been referenced in camp or that is recognized in camp. I think like there's an awareness of, again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but like ultimately it goes back to the level of training, the competitiveness, the standards that are set in training, the drivers from the leaders on how we are training, on how we are getting through our work off the pitch as well. And like there is no shortage of belief in the coaches, in the plans, in the quality of player. It's about just getting out there with a number of changes in relatively big positions over the last couple of years, and some big players gone as well. So the wheels are turning and things are moving, and yeah, I believe that things are going in the right direction, definitely.
So I know you're a big man for writing goals and looking ahead. Right, 2026, what are we looking for? Leinster to win the European Cup, Ireland to win the Six Nations, buy a house in New York. What are you looking
And watch the Traitors.
What's,
Yeah.
what's the Traitors?
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to, man?
I'll start with an apartment in Dublin with house prices these days before I go looking in New York. But yeah, no, all of those would be very nice. Yeah, I also think like with the goal setting side of things, it's hard not to be week to week at the same time. Obviously, you want bigger picture stuff and you want to look forward, but it is very much so week to week.
People think that's such lip service when you hear it outside, man. It isn't until you've been in there. Like you can only breathe for that week, isn't it? Like it's too important. Like you mentioned that there are France, you know, Thursday week. That's it. That's all
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
keep an eye on now.
Yeah, it's funny. Like a few of the girlfriends were together there last weekend, and my girlfriend wouldn't know too much about rugby, but anyway, she was coming back to me on the Sunday, being like, "Oh, you're in France next Thursday or Thursday 2 weeks, and are you potentially going to Australia this summer?" And like, I literally haven't discussed those things because I'm like, I've got Connacht this week. I haven't thought about the following week. You know what I mean? So she's like, "Oh, how come you didn't tell me that?" I haven't thought about it. That's all.
I'm actually in Galway this weekend as well. Did
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Listen, it's a pleasure to talk to you, Caelan. You're a wonderful ambassador for the game, for Irish rugby, for Leinster. But I think, as you mentioned at the start of the video about small kids, and I think this is exactly where we need to look at and aim the message that you're spreading under Tackle Your Feelings. I think, as Donncha mentioned there, Tackle Your Feelings .ie, or else go on to the social media page as well. Check it out. Caelan's page or TYF. Listen, the very best of luck, mate. We really, really wish you all the best. Maybe not in blue, but certainly in the green over the next couple of months. And thanks so much for talking to us.
Appreciate it, lads. Thank you.
Yeah, go well, Skip. We're all rooting for you, boy. Keep going.
Cheers, Donegal. Appreciate it.